Oh, well, hello there, people. I just those of you who are old enough, you may have heard about this. Um, it was on the news, of course, decades ago. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of embarrassing. You know, um, when I was 9 years old, my dad had to go up to Kadena Air Base for I don't know what. Well, he took me with him, and anyway, he said, go, look at the airplanes. So that's what I did. There were aircraft out there, a C-130, C-135, something like that. There was an F-4 out there, and there was the ladder going up to the cockpit. So I climbed up. I was just going to look inside of it, and I did. I mean, I climbed up there and looked inside of it, and I was like, wow, look at all those gauges and knobs and switches and stuff. That's really cool. So well, I climbed in. I wasn't planning on climbing in, but I did. Let me tell you, when everything, I got into a heap of trouble for all this. Well, I climbed in, and at first I was just going to like touch this and touch that, and then I started flipping switches. Then the canopy closed, and I panicked, and I started flipping more switches, and the engine started. And I must have hit the autopilot because next thing I know, I'm flying in the air. And I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, I was only 9 years old. So, I'm in this F4 flying to the west. I didn't know which direction I was flying at the time, but I was flying to the west toward China, over the China Sea off Okinawa. And I'm like, oh my dad's going to be so mad at me. And he was, believe me, he was. And then all of a sudden, here comes these F4s, one on each side of me. My dad got chewed out by his commander, and the pilots, I could barely see out of the cockpit. And, one of the guys holds up a sign. I couldn't read. I couldn't read at the time, so I didn't know what it said. And I'm like, oh no, I better do something. So I started hitting switches again, and I shot one of the planes down. Thankfully, the pilot was able to parachute out. I mean, he punched out, and well, then all of a sudden I was over China. I saw land, maybe half an hour later, I saw land, and I'm flying. Turns out I was over China. Not that I knew exactly where I was. Then these MiGs come up, and, I'm like panicking. I'm sweating. And I'm flying, and there are these MiGs. Actually, there were three MiGs on each side, and I think there were like five or six behind me. And I'm like, wow, this is not good. This is not good at all, eh? And finally, I started running out of fuel, and all of a sudden, beep, 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 and I was like, what do I do? I put my hands down like that, and I was just messing with stuff down there, and I pulled something, and out I went. Somewhere in the process, I had strapped in, but I was a little kid. It was, I was strapped in rather loosely. And anyway, I punched out, not on purpose, but I just did it. And I came down over China. They interrogated me for like 3 months, and then they put me in a Chinese prison for a couple of years, and then they sent me back. And well, let me tell you, my parents were pissed. They were mad at me, but you know, things happen.